the Trump administration is now preparing to accept a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar. It is a $400 million gift available for use by President Trump as new Air Force One until shortly before he leaves office, at which time, according to the deal, the plane doesn't stay with the United States government. It then moves to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation, taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, all the rest. That's not America first. Like, please define America first in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al Jazeera. It just isn't America first in any conceivable way. So back to the original question. Is this good for President Trump? Is it good for his agenda? Is it good for draining the swamp and getting things done? The answer is no, it isn't. It isn't. If you want President Trump to succeed, this kind of skeezy stuff needs to stop.
Turns out there may be a limit to just how much glaring, overt corruption Trump can traffic in before his own side finds it increasingly difficult to defend him. And it doesn't get more corrupt than blatantly violating the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution to the tune of $400 million. But it's not just the corruption. It is also the extent to which this guy beats his chest about America first and then starts making side deals with Qatar. And what does Qatar get in return for this $400 million plane? Because I'm not sure how familiar everybody is with the concept of a bribe, but the briber generally expects something back. So Trump benefits personally from a plane that only he gets to use, but it's the United States that has to make some concession to Qatar that we're not even aware of yet. And yet we're supposed to believe that this guy is operating in the best interest of the United States of America? Because this all seems like Trump personally benefits, Qatar benefits, but the rest of us don't. In fact, this disparity is so egregious that it wasn't just Ben Shapiro calling Trump out. Laura Loomer, who, because we live in hell, actually commands quite a bit of influence with this White House, took to Twitter writing, "I love President Trump. I would take a bullet for him, but I have to call a spade a spade. We cannot accept a $400 million gift from jihadists in suits. The Qataris fund the same Iranian proxies in Hamas and Hezbollah who have murdered U.S. service members. The same proxies who have worked with the Mexican cartels to get jihadists across our borders. This is really going to be such a stain on the administration if this is true. And I say that as somebody who would take a bullet for Trump. I'm so disappointed." I don't know if these Trump supporters actually drank the Kool-Aid when Trump pretended that he was a law and order candidate, or because both Ben Shapiro and Laura Loomer are Jewish and have some predisposition against Qatar, but either way, what is beyond clear is that Donald Trump is not guided by any long-standing principle. It is just corruption. He will take a plane from anybody who wants to give him a plane. He will accept crypto from anybody who wants to give him crypto. He is not in this to protect American interests, and certainly has no political philosophy he adheres to as far as the Middle East is concerned that's going to be more potent than somebody handing him a thing of value, personal, political, or financial, and him taking it. His only value is engaging in transactional relationships where he derives a benefit, period. And his disdain for the law and the Constitution and his oath of office is so obvious that even Fox News pointed it out on air.
So there's on the issue of the jet, there's a lot of crazy foreign gifts, over the past decades. Different administrations always grapple with how to handle them. I remember that shortly after I started at the White House back in 2006, President Bush had just received a puppy. It lived in the White House Situation Room for a couple of days while officials figured out what to do with it. Do you think it would have made a difference here if the president hadn't said anything about it? Meaning if it just came in, the jet got flown to the Pentagon, and then we heard about it when we heard about it?
I don't know. I just think the size of this gift, the $400 million, and it's probably more than that, this luxury jet that the president wants to make Air Force One would have gotten a lot more attention than the puppy. But I think that any gift comes under scrutiny with the president, with any leader, and it is going to continue to happen. I just don't think that this president, just listening to his answers today, Jillian, cares that much, and he's going to fight the fight and say, I'm doing what I think is best. We'll see how long that lasts. We'll see how big the critics, pushback is, but there will be pushback, 100%.
As Bret Baier says, he doesn't care that much. And worse, no one in his administration is going to stand up to him to make him care, because the only reason they're there in the first place is expressly because they won't. And don't take my word for it. Let's see what Trump whisperer Laura Loomer has to say on this topic. Not only will the President of the United States be flying around a $400 million jet paid for by Qatar, but don't forget our own U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi was once a registered foreign lobbyist on behalf of Qatar. Bondi was compensated $115,000 per month by Qatar. Qatar has given over $1.8 billion to Hamas over the years. That's an incredible amount of influence for Qatar, a country that harbors Islamic terrorists, to have with our most senior officials, especially given the fact that Islam is completely incompatible with Western civilization and the Judeo-Christian values in our U.S. Constitution. And Loomer's right that Bondi was previously a registered lobbyist for Qatar. Her aligned PAC also accepted a $25,000 donation from Trump while she was deciding whether to pursue fraud charges against Trump University as Florida AG, and ultimately decided against the charges. So in Pam Bondi, you have somebody who herself took money from Qatar and who has a history of gladly accepting money despite glaring conflicts of interest. So do we really expect her to stand up to Trump? Of course not. And for those wondering, that's the point. That is why she's in the job. The reality is that while Donald Trump cosplays as some champion for law and order, he is anything but. This is a guy who is wholly owned by anybody from any country who is willing to give him a buck. Trump's North Star is personal enrichment. And if you're going to put your neck on the line to defend him, be prepared to get confronted by moments like these, where you're suddenly forced to defend him taking a $400 million gift from some random sheik in the Middle East, all while this is his position as far as Americans are concerned.
You said, quote, I'm going to quote what you said, maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30.
Yeah.
And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally. Are you saying that your tariffs will cause some prices to go up?
No, I think the tariffs are going to be great for us because it's going to make us rich.
But you said some dolls are going to cost more. Isn't that an acknowledgement that some prices will go up?
I don't think a beautiful baby girl that's 11 years old needs to have 30 dolls. I think they can have 3 dolls or 4 dolls. Because what we were doing with China was just unbelievable. We had a trade deficit of hundreds of billions of dollars with China.
When you say they could have $3 instead of $30, are you saying Americans could see empty store shelves?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they don't need to have $30. They can have 3. They don't need to have 250 pencils. They can have 5.
So no dolls for little girls in this country, but the president gets a $400 million gift. How about that? Is this the abundance Trump promised when he was running? We'd be able to afford everything and he'd finally look out for the little guy. And yet, now that he's actually in office and doesn't need your vote anymore, the reality is that kids can't get what they want for Christmas, while this guy gets gifted a, quote, palace in the sky Boeing 747. Sounds about right for Donald Trump. Abundance for me, none for thee. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.